All right, so in this season, I've been giving you guys a lot of game when it comes to what happened back in 2008. And I want you to start actually using this game today because if I'm correct, if my predictions are correct, and we see a part two of what happened in 2008, the ones that have it are going to become wealthier. The ones that don't will file bankruptcy and end up poor. All right, so listen, every once in a while, I'll get questions DM to me. And lately, a lot of people have been sending debt questions. So I thought, hey, let's make an episode of it, right? So I'll answer some of the questions that I've been getting sent here in real time. So, first of all, a lot of our communities have been told that debt is normal, right? Everybody has debt. Don't worry about it. Take on the debt. You'll pay it off once you get a good job and all of those kind of things. But what happens is a lot of times people don't go back and ask those people, well, how much debt did you have? Have you been able to pay off your debt? Because the answer to that question for most people is, I got a lot of debt and no, I haven't been able to pay it off. So you don't want the leading the blind, right? So you want to actually get some real information so it could help you so you're not stuck in the same reality as those people, right? So the first question that I have was, all right, so the first question I have is, should I pay off debt or invest? Well, the reality is you could actually do both. Now, we've been talking recently about getting side hustles so you can have extra money, so you can have some additional funds to be able to invest and also have gazelle intensity paying off your debt. But you can actually do both, right? So you can take a portion of your budget and you can earmark it for your bills. And I'm going to give you a formula so you can think about how you do that, right? But then the other side of that, you're going to use it to pay off your so it's to start your investments. So let's do a scenario, right? Let's say you have $20,000 in credit card debt. Let's say you're a young person, you got about 21% interest. So essentially what that's doing for you is oh, come on. All right, so in that scenario, if you put all your 500 to debt, you'll be debt free in about 40 months. So we're looking at about 3.5 years, right? So zero investments, by the way, because every dollar was going towards debt, every additional dollar. If you split it, if you did 250 for your debt, 250 towards your investment, that's going to extend the debt payment for you. But at the same time, you've invested about $15,000. And depending on where you had that money, you're looking at a minimum of about $25,000 in growth. So if you're splitting the way that you're doing, paying off your debt and and investing, I think it would be better for you. Now, some people will say, I don't want to be in debt for another 8 years. And trust me, I totally understand that that's not something that you want to do because debt to me is toxic. I always tell people that I'm working with my clients, I tell them debt is like a anchor around your neck. It actually keeps you from being able to float. So if you can have gazelle-like intensity, you can knock that 3.5 year number down anyway and maybe get it to a manageable 18 months or so. Because if I was able to help someone recognize how they can pay off all their debt, unsecured debt for the most part, in 18 months, I would say, let's go ahead and attack that debt. Let's be serious about it. And then in 18 months, we can take that same money that we were putting towards the debt, and now we can start playing catch up with the investment side. But again, if you can figure out how to have a side hustle, the average side hustle brings in about $885. If you can figure out how to add an additional $885, you can easily do both. The second question I got was, my credit score is destroyed. Can I rebuild it, and how long does it take? So let me give you some stats because most people don't really understand the levels of credit in a way that it affects them. So I'm going to put it on the screen here. So if you have a 300 to a 579, that's essentially a poor credit score. So you're going to probably be getting hit up by predatory lenders trying to figure out how to help you get in more debt. And so if you're at that level, you got to be really careful about who you're talking to and who you decide to work with. A 580 to a 669, that's pretty fair. Now, you're going to have some high interest if you decide to go out and get a car, or you decide to get a credit card or a house. You're going to have pretty high interest in this country specifically. If you have a 740 to if you have a 670 to a 739, this is pretty good. You're going to have some normal rates there. Now, most people don't have really good credit because their parents didn't help them build their credit. That's a whole nother conversation. But talk to your parents about helping you if you're under 18 with your credit score. If you have between a 740 and a 799, this is very good. You're going to have pretty premium rates when it comes to trying to get a car, trying to get a house. You'll even get 0% interest credit cards offered to you to consolidate and be able to pay it off quickly. So ultimately, your goal is to get into this range. Once you get over a 800, you pretty much can walk in the bank and do a signature loan. I talk about signature loans quite a bit because this is one of the ways that you can build your credit up if you don't necessarily have great credit. But once you get to an 800 credit score, we're talking walking in and signing for 10 grand and getting it. Now, don't put yourself back in debt. I want you to use this to hopefully make some investments. Another thing people don't know a lot about credit is if you have late payments, they fall off after about 7 years. But for the first 2 or 3 years, they are very impactful. They're going to pull your credit score down quite a bit. So we're talking about how we rebuild our credit. Let's talk, of course, about how we try and stay away from having bad credit at the onset. Also, collections, they fall off after 7 years. And if you have a bankruptcy, 7 to 10 years. But you can start rebuilding immediately. The first thing you want to do if you're trying to rebuild your credit score, you got to pull your credit reports. You have to actually know what's on there. I've pulled my credit report before, and there was something on there that I had no idea where it came from. It was not mine. So I was able to actually combat that and get it removed from my credit. It jumped it up 30 points just right away. So pull your credit score, pull your reports so you can actually know what you have on there. Next, I would say look for, I already said that. Next, if you're trying to help your credit score, pay all your current bills on time. This actually accounts for about 35% of your total score on your credit. So set up automatic payments if that makes the most sense for you. Never miss a payment again. This could literally start to help you rebuild your credit immediately. So no matter how far down you've gone, start this immediately. It's going to help recover that credit score very quickly. Also, don't close your old accounts. This is something I learned the hard way. I was of the ilk that if I pay a credit card off, let's get rid of it. I don't need that credit card anymore, right? That's not what you necessarily want to do because the older your accounts, it actually looks better for your credit score. All right. So this is something most people probably wouldn't tell you because most people don't actually know it. Don't apply for new credit cards. If you have a credit card that you've paid off, if you need to use a credit card, use the one you already have. Don't apply for a new one because that's called a hard hit on your credit. So that takes away points as well. A hard inquiry is actually the definition that they use. And then again, you're trying to get your credit score up. Give yourself some marks. You want to get it up by 50 to 100 points this 6 months or this year. Start working on it. Once you get there, then go to the next level. And God forbid, don't put yourself back in debt. Debt's a bad thing. All right. Pay cash if you can. All right. The next question I got is bankruptcy ever the right move? When should I consider it? So let's say this person specifically, they say if they have 80K in debt, they don't see a way out, and they want to know if they should actually file bankruptcy or this is going to destroy their life. So bankruptcy is a legal tool. It will not destroy your life, but you want to do everything you can to try and keep away from having to file Chapter 7 or Chapter 13. By the way, Chapter 7, that's a liquidation. Most of your debt is going to be wiped out, but you're going to lose your assets. Where with a Chapter 13, this is a reorganization. They're going to try and help you pay back those debts over a plan that's going to last anywhere from 3 to 5 years. But it also costs money to actually file the bankruptcy. So you don't get to just file bankruptcy and walk away. No, it actually costs you about $1,500 to $2,000 to actually file the bankruptcy. So it's not free at all. All right, so let's talk about when bankruptcy does not necessarily make sense. Now, again, I'm not in your pocket. I'm just giving you some high level thinking around it, right? Because a lot of times we'll see young people file bankruptcy when they're less than 50K in debt. Honestly, that's not terrible. Depending on how old you are, you could probably get that debt paid off fairly quickly. Again, you got to get gazelle-like intensity and get that thing paid off. But you can't file bankruptcy if you just get tired of paying your bills. You're like, I hate paying these bills. I'm going to just file bankruptcy. No, legally you can't do that, right? If you have assets that you want to actually keep, if you file bankruptcy, they're going to take those assets. So make sure that you think about that before you do it. If you file bankruptcy, your credit score normally drops down to about 130 to 200. So again, now you're rebuilding basically from the start. I hadn't seen a credit score in the single digits before, but I can imagine it could get that low, right? Student loans are not discharged when you file bankruptcy. That's something that a lot of people think, especially during the COVID era when people were trying to figure out, oh, am I not going to have to pay? Or are they going to wipe it off? Can I file bankruptcy and get rid of it? It doesn't actually get rid of your student loans. It does not get rid of your child support payments either. So be very careful if that's your motivation for trying to file bankruptcy. In bankruptcy, it's not the end of your life. I personally was at a position where I thought I was going to file bankruptcy, and I was very trepidatious about it. Luckily, I was able to pull myself out of it. So I'm not telling you something that I think. I'm telling you what I've actually been through myself. So bankruptcy is not the end of your life, but if you have to do it, be prepared for the ramifications that come on the back end of that. All right, question number 4. How do I negotiate with debt collectors? I would say, first of all, know your rights, all right? So I love negotiations. And so anytime when I was going through my issues and had a bunch of debt and debt collectors and stuff, I would actually answer the phone and have long, drawn out conversations with these people because they would call me over and over and over. I'm like, damn. All right, let me just see what they're talking about, right? And let me see what I maybe can negotiate because I'm a good speaker, right? I'm going to talk you out of something. Believe it or not, when you negotiate your debt with these people, 60% of the time, you can actually get that bill knocked down. Now, you have to know what to say. There's scripts out there that can help you with that, but you have to be convicted of it. You have to really stick to the plan. Don't go off the plan. That's why you want to have a script. That's why you want to have talk to these people so you get an idea of the kind of questions that they're going to ask you and the way that they're going to try and maneuver around. Because a lot of these people, and I know a lot of debt collectors, a lot of these people are in debt. So they're just angry because they're in debt. So they're calling you to get on your nerves because they can. So think about that the next time you get a call from a debt collector. All right. Negotiate a settlement. All right. Most debt collectors will offer a 30 to 50% debt reduction. Now, this is the key. Make sure they put it in writing and they send it to you before you agree to it. Again, I'm not telling you what I think. I'm telling you what I know. I got myself in a position where they say yes on the phone and they told me to send an amount. I sent it and then they send me another bill. So make sure that you have it in writing. They'll send you the statement. Yes, we'll agree to take X amount to wipe this debt off completely. And when they do, that's when you write the check, not before. And also, never give these people access to your accounts. Give them not a check from your actual account. Go to the bank, get a money order, go get a COD, whatever you need to get. Don't give them access to your account. You will regret it. All right, I think that was my fun. Oh, this last one. All right. So the last question I have is, should I consolidate my debt? Is it worth it? Oh. The last question I have is, should I consolidate my debt? Is it worth it? Well, I would say this. If you have credit card debt, a car loan, personal loan, you may want to consider consolidating these things if they're getting out of control. A lot of people will buy cars and they do 5-6 year loans on them. And then year 3, they're like, I don't like this car anymore, so I'm gonna go get it. Now you're upside down in the car. That's what they mean when they say you're upside down in the car. You still owe a percentage of that car because you didn't totally pay it off. It's depreciated in value, but you still owe those people that money, right? So if you're in a position like that and you're trying to figure out how to get out of debt, absolutely, I agree that a debt consolidation loan is part of the plan. I was working with a couple recently that wanted to do a home equity line of credit to pay some debt off. Now, again, I'm not giving you financial advice. I'm leading you towards thinking about this in a number of different ways. So that is definitely an option. I prefer to go get a loan because you can normally get a lower interest rate and save on that interest from all those other credit cards and car payments and all of those things. If you can get a loan that makes sense, even if you're saving 1%, think about it. If you're paying 25% on 3 different accounts and they come in and they say, hey, we'll do it for 23.9, well, you're still saving that 1%. So if it makes sense for you to have 1 payment versus 3 payments and you're paying a lower interest rate, absolutely, I would agree that a consolidation loan is a tool that you can use to pay that debt off. All right, guys. So I love the questions. I love when you guys reach out and engage with what we're doing here. The whole idea when I started Quantum Prosperous is I wanted people to no longer have the excuse that there's nobody out there actually giving us game or telling us how we can gain financial literacy, pay off debt, understand investments at a lower level. Not because we're lower level, but because these things aren't necessarily taught through us all our life. So we're playing catch up. So it needs to be simple. It needs to be plain. It needs to be easy. And that's what we do here at QPwealthhub.com. Think and Grow Rich.